Why?
because it is a human being. So where would
You
you
see
draw the
how
line?
circular that is? Like
It's
you
not
can't give
it's
me.
it's
Yeah,
not
I'm asking
circular.
you why is a.
I'm
I'm asking
literally
you why
drawing
is
a
a
line
zygote
for
a
you.
human being, and you're saying because it's a human being.
Yes. So where do you
What
draw the
makes
line?
it a human being?
Fertilization.
What quality?
You need to reiterate for me more in that sense. The quality is the act of fertilization.
That's not a quality. That's an occurrence.
Okay, so you explain to me then.
Explain. That's not my argument. That's your argument,
I guess
and
I
I'm
don't
asking
understand
you
your
to.
argument. So what okay, what quality do you and I have
So a
that a zygote
sperm.
doesn't? What
That's great.
quality
We
do
are
you have that a
autonomous.
zygote doesn't?
We are conscious. We have sentience. We
Okay.
have organs. We have a brain.
Exactly.
Right.
And a
A
fertilized
zygote does not have those things.
a zy, a zy, this is the whole point of when I talk about time and space. An egg being fertilized is the process. I'm sorry, not the process. It is the creation of a human being. For better wording, it is the creation. The creation happened with the creation of zygote. A zygote
I
is
know.
the creation. A sperm is
I'm
not the
aware of that.
creation. An egg is not the creation. A zygote is the creation. So the line is drawn at when the creation happened. And then
What so is
basically your argument is value. Is basically where you are drawing your argument. Is value.
no, I established that there is a difference between human life and embryonic life. And I
Mm-hmm.
give different moral consideration because of
Okay.
that.
And and here's one thing I am against is googling stuff as we debate or using people in the chat. I'll use my one pass card. My friend in the chat here just said it already has the blueprint. So the sperm doesn't have the blueprint. The egg doesn't have the blueprint. The egg being fertilized it is the blueprint of a human being. It is the
It's
beginning. It is the
right, but
beginning in the creation of a human being.
we don't give value to blueprints. We give values to the house. And again, like
I need
a
you to no, I need you to
zygote,
explain that further. I need you to explain that further for me. So the mother? Are you saying the mother as in the house?
no, the house is the actual baby, is the human being,
And
not the blueprint.
which is the zygote?
It's not. You're saying that they have a
It's not.
blueprint to become something, which is the DNA.
So the zygote is separate from a human being.
You said that they have
It's
the
the same being.
blueprint to become a human being, which, just like you were
Correct.
saying, a blueprint is the instructions to become a house. But we don't value
No.
the blueprint.
The instructions are over. The instructions are done. It is complete.
That's not true, because
That
then
is
why
true.
would we have development?
We have development every day. You and I are still developing.
How old are you?
We're 33. We are still
Then
developing.
you are not developing. You are in the process of decay.
Wait, excuse me? Is that not a
You are not
process? That's still a
you are
process though, correct? That's still a
no, you're
process.
not developing, no. You're in the process of decay.
But is it
But
human
but
life?
but
Is it
you're
wait, okay, so I'm in the process of what you're saying is the opposite of production, but I still have value as human life. So why would you not give human life to why would you not give value in human life to the process of
okay.
when it starts? You're giving me
Let me
value.
maybe I can
You're
give
giving
you
me value as I
a
decay. You give me value
no,
and
that was just
personhood
kind
as
of
I
highlighting
decay.
what you were saying was wrong because you are in a stage of
Go ahead.
development. So let me ask you a question.
Go
When
ahead.
is death?
You can't define that.
So we don't know when people are dead?
No, I mean, you have to. Your questions are very vague. So when is death? Well, death is when a person is dead. Whenever There is
Okay, when is
zero
the person dead?
zero activity. Zero activity.
Zero,
When
what does that mean?
it means when scientifically when they are less than a flower, they are no longer alive because
Can you
the
give me any
argument of
qualifiers?
the idea of a zygote, the idea of a
I'm
zygote is
not
greater
talking
than
about a
somebody who's
zygote.
dead.
I'm just asking you
No,
when is someone dead?
okay,
When do we
okay,
classify
I will,
someone as dead?
okay, I will say this: when you're asking me questions, please do not nitpick at where I'm going with it because that's not how this works. But
Okay.
when somebody is dead, zero brain activity, zero life. There's no longer a life. The argument
Okay.
is not the argument is
So
not life. The argument is personhood, being a human being.
so zero brain activity?
No, just no life. Period. Because a flower doesn't have brain activity, but it's still alive.
Well, neither does a zygote.
A zygote is alive.
It does not have brain activity.
Says who? How do you know
Science.
that? Well, science is ever changing.
When an egg is fertilized, it is a single-celled organism. It
But
does
it
not have a
but it
brain activity. It doesn't even have a brain.
but it is the beginning of production of a human being. It is a human being. It is day
Right.
one
So
of a
you
human being.
agree.
So
You
what
agree now that it
I've
does
asked you
not have a.
I've asked you multiple times, where do you draw the line?
I'm trying to tell you, but
Okay. Okay, I'm all
you
ears.
kind of are proving. You were kind of
where does it
proving
become a
my
human being?
point for me. So when we look at death, we essentially, as persons, look at brain death. That when you are brain dead, you are no longer alive. Even if you're hooked
And
to,
your body starts to decay.
well, you can be on
There's
life
no more
support.
oxygen. There's no more
You
H2O.
can be on life support and be brain
Yeah,
dead,
you
correct?
absolutely.
Is that person alive?
Yes.
Based on what?
Based on the fact it's a human being that is still alive and breathing.
Right, but they're not breathing. The machine is breathing for them. So let me ask you, would it
Okay.
be immoral to pull the plug?
Yes, absolutely.
Why?
Because okay, it depends on the stance as well. If you're 99 years old and you've lived your life and you willingly have signed papers to your family saying that you want that because you have control over your soul and your being, then no.
So
But if I
soul
don't,
is a spiritual term, not a scientific term.
well,
But so
it stands with me because if we're going to talk opinions and emotions and things like that, mine are
well,
as
I'm not
valuable as yours.
talking in opinions and emotions. I'm talking science.
Well, so far it's pretty inconsistent, but go ahead.
It's not inconsistent at all. What have I said that's not consistent?
Where the whole the production does not start with the zygote. The
I
beginning day
didn't
one
say
of a
that.
human being is not a zygote. A
I didn't say
zygote is
that.
a human being.
I
So
didn't say that either.
a zygote is a human being.
It is human in the sense that it is a part of the Homo sapien species, correct? But I also differentiated that there is a difference between embryonic life and what we call human life or human being, if you would like me to be more specific.
Okay.
So this is what it comes down to, is that a person who is brain dead is clinically dead, and a doctor will not keep them on life support.
Depends on the circumstance.
They won't. They're dead.
They're dead. So nobody's ever come out of
Yes.
a coma.
A coma is not the same as brain death.
Okay.
When you are brain dead, you are not coming back. You can't regenerate brain tissue.
Right.
So
So the art.
you are clinically dead.
Okay.
So if we can agree that brain death is the end of life, and can we agree that you can't be both? You can't be alive and you can't be dead?
Well, it's like you just said. Being brain dead as somebody who's already been born is the end of life. If you're saying that you have no
Right.
brain
So then
activity
we would
because
have
you're a
to
zygote,
essentially
that
start
is day
that
one.
as the beginning of life. Because if we agree that you can't be alive and you can't be dead, and the end of life is brain
No,
death,
I
then
I
the
see exactly
beginning
your
of life
argument. I see exactly
would
your
be
argument. I see
when the
exactly what
brain
you're
is
talking
able
about.
to substantiate
Hmm.
its own
I
bodily
see. I
process.
see exactly your argument of what you're talking about, and you are right in that stance. But what you don't see, in the irony of what you're saying, is you are stopping that production. You're saying because
Okay.
there are similar values here at production day one, and there are certain values in certain circumstances at the end of somebody's life, because they are similar, that must mean that the actions that you can do here at the end, you must be able to do at the same at the beginning.
No, I'm saying my argument is symmetrical and yours is not.
That's not the case at all.
It is, because if we identify that death is the end of the systems functioning as a whole and the brain functioning, then we would identify the beginning of life as the brain development and the function and the system and organs functioning as a whole, which is around the 24th week.
It's actually, I believe 22nd actually, but there's no. But I just don't understand how you're saying this whenever there's no chance, whenever they are a full grown human being, and
What do you mean?
they are quote unquote brain dead. There is no further. I'm having a brain fart here with the wording. I'm sorry. There is no further production. There is no further production if somebody's brain dead at the age of 50.
So I feel that all you really value is potential.
Why not? It's not potential. It's not potential. It is
It is
creation.
potential.
I value creation.
You value it for what it could be, not for what it is.
I am valuing it for what it is because it's a human being.
In terms of just being a member of the Homo sapien, okay, great. So tell me, why does human life have intrinsic value?
Because it's a human being. Because it's
See,
alive.
like your argument is inherently circular. I just asked you, why does being human being, why does a human have intrinsic value? And you said because it's human.
Well, okay. Why does yours versus zygote? I asked you that before and you didn't answer it.
This is your argument. It's not mine.
No, you're in my chat. This is very equal. You cannot disdain from this. Why?
I have already
Tell me.
substantiated where I give moral consideration and why.
Okay, I'm asking you again. Where does yours differentiate versus a zygote?
I've told you brain function, the fact that it's autonomous, living, breathing, or excuse me, not living, breathing, has a complete system that functions as a whole with the organs.
So value. So
So let
mathematic.
me
So
maybe
mathematic. So math. You have to mathematically. You have to
no, I'm
mathematically
just saying
explain
that
that.
we
You have no.
value
You have to
it's
mathematically
not
explain
that's
that.
not mathematics. That's not
Yes,
mathematics.
value is not mathematics.
No.
There's no
What I just
mathematics that comes with
explained to
value.
you is not mathematics, but let me give you maybe a different analogy that might help
No,
explain what I'm saying.
what percent are you valued more than a zygote?
It's not a percentage. I just value characteristics.
Has to be,
It does not have to be a percentage, no.
because you. What did
Because
you say?
what's 100
At 24 weeks, what is it?
at 24 weeks? What is it? What does that mean?
No, I'm asking you. Whenever you are saying brain activity, organs, and all this, at what point do you draw the line to where you say abortion is not okay? Mathematically, where do you draw that?
So again, like your the framing of mathematics is incorrect. So it depends how we define abortion. Can you define abortion for me just so I can make sure we're on the same page?
Aborting a fertilized egg.
So that's not the definition of abortion. And you really can't use the word in the definition, just kind of like a fundamental. Abortion is defined as the deliberate termination of pregnancy, typically
Which is
28 weeks and prior.
see, this is what you're doing, and I'll be honest with you. You're actually really, really good at it. because left-leaning people who have these ideologies are very, very good at just kind of like when you have to write an essay and you have to use a lot of words, but you're not really getting anywhere. So when you say
I
no,
think I'm just
abortion is no,
educated.
no, you just said abortion is termination of a pregnancy. Well, I'm the
Correct.
one that just went further, dived further into what that is. What is termination of a
No,
pregnancy? What is a
you
pregnancy? Pregnancy
you
is
are
fertilization
incorrect
of an egg.
though.
No, and you
You are
can't just say I'm
incorrect though.
incorrect. No,
You are.
you
This
can't
is a
just say that.
definition.
So what is pregnancy?
So
What is
if
pregnancy?
we are going, let
What
me
is
explain
pregnancy?
when it comes to you. I'm going to answer your last question first, and then
No,
I'll
because
explain to you what pregnancy is.
I'm directly answering your questions, and what you do is you go off on a tangent.
I don't go off on a
And
tangent.
no, you do, and you do not directly answer what I'm asking you. What is a pregnancy?
I directly answer your questions more than you directly answer mine.
It's not hard. I'm asking you, what is a pregnancy?
What is a pregnancy?
What is a pregnancy?
When a person has a fetus, embryo, zygote implanted into the uterine wall.
Okay. So how was that any different than the definition you just gave me? When you said what is an
Because
abortion,
I said
when
a
you said what is an
deliberate
abortion,
termination of pregnancy.
which is exactly what I just said,
No, you didn't. You said it's the
termination of an egg
aborting.
that has been
No,
fertilized.
you didn't say terminating. You said abort. Well, by your definition, then a miscarriage would be an abortion.
Absolutely not. A miscarriage would be
Yes,
the
it
same
would.
as no, it would not, because it's not deliberate. You just gave
You
that
you
definition.
didn't add
You
you
just gave
didn't
that
add
definition.
deliberate.
You
Correct,
just
but
gave
that
that
was not
definition
your
saying deliberate.
definition.
You
That
just gave
was
that
not
definition.
your definition. That was my definition, which is why our definitions are
Termination.
different.
Termination of a fertilized egg. I'm sorry, I didn't say deliberate. But you're the one that literally just
Well,
said that.
that's
And
that's
now
that's
you were,
incorrect too.
oh my goodness.
So if we're looking at abortion as the deliberate termination of pregnancy,
Okay.
then I think a person at any point in
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy has the right to decide to terminate. It doesn't necessarily mean that the fetus
Deliberately
results
terminate, correct? Deliberately
correct.
terminate? Okay. Okay.
Correct. It doesn't mean that the fetus will die. So past previous to 24 weeks, yes, I think a person can have an abortion that results in the death of the fetus. After 24 weeks, it would essentially be an evictionism stance, where we either induce labor or give a cesarean.
Based off value.
Based off the assumption that the fetus can survive outside the womb.
But certain human beings
But
can't survive. A newborn can't survive outside of parents' care.
so you're talking about external resources, where I am just talking about viability, where the brain, the lungs, the organs, the entire body can
How is that any
live
different?
outside
How is
the
that
womb.
any different? How is that any
Are
different in the
are you
stance
saying
of
a person on life support is the same as a living, breathing person like you and me?
yes, absolutely. They
So
have the
we
exact
have
same
the
they
same
have the exact
quality of life.
they have
Like
they so
you
yes,
must
they have the same
recognize.
value. Yes, they have the same value to
I'm not
live
talking
as
about
you and I.
value. I'm talking about in terms of viability.
So you think they should just be terminated?
So let's say that you go out and you find 10 people and you bring these 10 people back and you all sit in a circle and you say, we all have the right to life, because that's what you're arguing, correct? That a fetus has the right to life.
I think that's pretty clear.
Great. So you and these 10 people agree, yes, we each have the right to life. Therefore, we just can't kill each other standing here and now. Now, let's
Mm-hmm.
say just hypothetically that one of those persons ended up being Clark Kent. who
Okay.
is Superman, who is now an alien, who does not have human DNA. Would you say it is morally permissible to kill him?
Oh my goodness. So can I kill somebody that's an alien, and would that be okay?
I'm asking you in this analogy because this is a part of the parasamy argument, which is your argument of speciesism.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
So you can't tell me in a moral sense or your own moral opinion if it would
Well,
be
no,
moral to
because I
kill him.
well no because that's something completely new. That's something that because there's a difference between stupidity and ignorance. I would be ignorant on that subject,
Well, I
but
just
I
told you.
do. But
He
I
says, I am Clark Kent. I am an alien. I do not have human DNA. So
yeah
he
yeah
doesn't
yes
have human rights now, and you can just
no,
morally kill him.
and I'm telling you that's not part of our life. What is part of our life is what we know. Animals, mammals, us who are mammals, we know that. I don't know what aliens are. I have no idea. How am I supposed to answer that?
I, I'm just giving you this. This is a philosophy argument.
Yes, and I'm telling you that this is something that is unrealistic from our reality. So how am I supposed to answer that?
The
I know
reason that I'm
nothing of
giving
that.
it to
I
you
don't know
is
if they have a
because
soul. I
Clark
have no
Kent.
idea.
So this is. I think this kind of highlights your own value and your own lens on how you look through things.
Okay.
That it's completely religious.
Wait, where did I say I was religious?
Soul.
Where's that's religious?
Yes. A
I know
soul is not a
plenty of
scientific
atheists.
term.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So if we're having an objective conversation, a soul is not based in science.
Science is ever changing. If you're going to put your faith into science, you better be prepared for what you're about to be told is wrong in the next
There's
10 years.
not faith in science.
What do you call it then?
Evidence.
So, at what percent would you say you believe in that evidence?
It's not, again, a belief. Like it doesn't matter if I hold a pen out. It doesn't matter how much I believe that the pen will float, because when I drop it, it's going to fall to the ground, regardless if I believe it'll float or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's true. So there's not belief, there's not faith in science. It
Okay.
is what it is, whether you believe it or not. Like that's
So it's
objective
fact.
truth.
It is what it is. So you're saying it's fact.
Correct. It's an objective truth.
So science is fact. So it's 100%.
Science or facts, unless there is better science.
So it's not facts. It's not 100% because science is ever changing. What you're saying that see this is what I don't think you understand. What you're saying, you say something that has no substance to it and is not 100%, and you just say it is that it is. Science is ever changing.
Not at all. Not at all. Science isn't ever changing. Science doesn't change. We learn more
Science
about.
is not ever changing,
No, we learn more about science.
which means what we originally knew was wrong.
Right. So that's that is mishuman interpretation, that it's not science being wrong.
It is science being wrong.
No,
I
it's
would
not.
love no I science. So you're telling me science has never been wrong?
It is the conclusions that humans make in scientific analysis that is wrong, not actual evidentiary science, which is why we have theory, which is why we have
Which theory?
peer-reviewed articles,
Okay.
and there's different
With
levels.
yes, we have theories. We don't have facts. We don't. It's not 100% within
We
mathematically.
do.
It's not 100%. So you're saying that I can sit
We
here
do
and
have a
say
scientific method, and depending on where something falls in the scientific method depends if it is a theory or if it's based in what is considered objective fact. Like gravity is a theory. because you can't technically actually see gravity to observe it pulling things. You only see the effects of gravity. But that's my whole point, is that
The whole point is that science has to be wrong at some point for us to grow, because science is ever changing.
no,
Science every day does get better and better.
it is our
I agree with that.
understanding and interpretation of science that gets better.
So how can you? This is what I'm talking about with your wording. It's your understanding, meaning your understanding right now can be incorrect, but then tomorrow your understanding is a little bit better. But because yesterday was incorrect, somehow that doesn't
If
make you wrong.
you want to have a scientific argument, I am all about that, but I don't think you know enough about pregnancy to do so.
I don't think you know enough about how much you word yourself and go in circles to just simply say, no, you're wrong and I'm right. No, this is no. You're literally saying that
I can
something
point
that
to where you're wrong and where you're
you're
circular, and I can substantiate
no.
my own claims.
If anybody's circular, it's you saying that I can be
Where
wrong
am
about
I
something,
circular?
and when tomorrow I'm a little bit closer, it never meant that I was wrong, because I'm
That's not
now
circular.
more. That is circular. That is
No,
100%
it's not.
circular.
When I asked you why human life is valuable, you said because it's human life. That is circular.
No, it's not, because I drew the line. I drew the
That's not.
line at
That's
when a
not.
person is a human being on that day with an egg being
No,
fertilized. That is a human. That is a human being.
that is circular because I asked you, why does human life have value? So I'm giving you human life have value, and you saying because it's human life.
Mhm.
And so we just go in
If
a
you take somebody
circle.
that you know, so if you
You
take
just
somebody
go in a
right now that you
circle
know,
with that
if
argument.
let's say you have a sibling, you have a brother or sister, let's say you have a brother, and right now you know that person for who they are today, and you go back in time and you were to say, at week 2 after the egg being fertilized, your parents aborted your sibling. You fast right back forward into the future where we are now, and they are no longer with you. You're telling me that is okay simply because at one point they didn't have value, even though they were alive, even though they are, by my definition, with the egg being fertilized, a human being, because they didn't have value, that
Yeah,
that would be
because
okay.
you're doing the same thing. Because could we take you back even a step further to when my parents were having sex, and you being like, no, 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 stop, stop, stop. At that point,
Mm-hmm.
what you've identified as value does not exist.
Production never started.
So, right. So that is
Production
your
never
value.
started. The egg was never
Your
fertilized.
value is a fertilized egg.
Mm-hmm.
My value is symmetrical with what we deem as the start of life in terms of what is the end of life, what is death.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There is a beginning and an end, and you are simply saying that because there is less value at the beginning, that it is okay to
It's
terminate.
not less
You just said
value.
it
It is that
perfectly.
there
There
is
is a
a less,
beginning and an
there
end.
is correct. And mine is more symmetrical in terms of what we give moral consideration to in terms of human life.
Where does your
Where
morality come
yours,
from?
philosophical arguments and scientific reasoning.
By who?
What do you mean by
Men?
who?
By who?
Sure.
By men?
I prefer persons, but sure.
Mostly men, actually, if we're going to be honest with that. But yeah.
Oh, now the misogyny is coming out. Yay.
How's that misogyny? It's a fact, right?
No.
You like to talk in absolutes. It's a fact. How many of those books you read are from women?
Would you like me to go count and give you a percentage?
I really don't have the time for that, but majority of what you're saying
Right.
is written by human beings, correct?
Right.
So your morality comes from other people.
It's based in a level of objectiveness.
From who? From whose opinion? Where's
Like
that?
I said, scientific reasoning, while there can be analysis from men, we still can see objective fact through it.
From men.
Where
So,
did your morality come from?
something that is not ever changing. and comes that something that is not ever changing that comes from human beings. You're putting absolute faith into something that comes from human beings, mostly men, that you are claiming that that is where your morality comes from. I draw the line at the beginning and at the end of life. So if a woman has a miscarriage, if she has a miscarriage, that is, you call it Mother Nature or whatever, no differently than if
Right.
somebody
And here
gets
I
cancer and
give
if they die.
you,
But there is a beginning and there is an end, and what you're
well,
simply
you know
doing is you're
that a
saying there is
woman
value.
can eat certain foods and cause a miscarriage, correct?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that immoral?
No,
I
because
mean, you don't even really know what an abortificant is.
did they go into that? What was them purposely eating that food the same as somebody willingly going into what is the production of a human being, which is sex? Did they knowingly do that?
What? What?
No, you just said you said a woman could I'm saying accidentally, right? I think you meant to
No,
say
I'm saying
accidentally.
she could intentionally
Oh,
eat certain foods and have a
yeah,
certain diet that makes it more likely for her to have a miscarriage.
right. So, excuse me, you're asking if that's an abortion
No, it's
or
not
termination?
well, it would be a spontaneous abortion since
I
miscarriage
mean,
is a spontaneous abortion.
you can hit a home run with a wooden bat, a metal bat, fucking a plastic bat.
So how would you
It's
police
still a
that?
home
Like,
run.
are you gonna police what like pregnant people eat now?
Well, if they well, okay, I don't think you saw the last person I talked to, which I said something I am indifferent about, something I don't really, something I need to speak to other people and educate myself on, or not even educate myself, just where I stand is I don't view an abortion the same thing as walking up and shooting somebody in the head in terms of law. I'm not saying if you have an abortion, you need to go to
Why?
prison for the rest of your life.
Why?
Why? I can't answer that. I don't know why.
Why? But
But
you
I
just
do
said
think
that
I do
a you just
because
said
I
that
do
an embryo has the same human value.
exactly because I do see it as murder, but every murder case doesn't have the same outcome in court. Some people get life, some people get 10 years.
Well, that's just like a fault in the legal system. We're talking in terms
I'm not saying
of
it's not.
your morality here.
But the argument is it murder or not?
Well, murder is technically defined as unlawful,
Okay, yeah.
and
And
abortion
I'm
is
not a
not
judge, and
unlawful at this
now
point.
we're going to get in this argument of or this topic of where a judge is going to rule. Like it's pointless.
No, I never talk about that. I'm just saying you should say killing
I didn't
instead
say
of
you
murder
did. I'm saying
because
we're going to.
no. Um, my whole point with that is that murder is defined as unlawful, and at this point, abortion is lawful, so it wouldn't be murder.
At this point, it is lawful. But I don't think a lot of people understand with Roe v. Wade, if it is overturned, a lot of people think that's going to be just illegal in all 50 states. That's not the case. It gives states back their right back to decide. So about half the states are still going to have abortions. People just have to drive if they're from states like mine
Right.
or
Yeah. It
wherever.
just creates an undue burden and disenfranchises poor people.
That's not an argument. That's not an argument to say, well, it's still going to happen. It's like the gun argument. It's like saying I can still kill
I
somebody. It's still going to
didn't
happen.
say it's still going to happen. I said it disproportionately affects poor people and creates an undue burden.
So like anything else, because somebody cannot financially afford it, it's somehow the government's job to enable it.
It's going to be a law that oppresses poor people, which
How?
statistically speaking, because
So
when
so
now
hold on.
you have
How
to,
does something? How does something?
you should not be
How,
laughing at that.
how does
That
no? It's
is
actually funny. It's
very,
actually funny. The echo chamber of it's just crazy when it's like you talk to somebody and you know how far left. When you talk to somebody that's very far left like you are, you can tell me one thing that you abide by, and I can already know everything you already stand for. So how is something unethical, or how is something oppressing people who are poor when they have full control over getting pregnant? And we're not talking about
you don't have
0.07% of
control
people who are
over getting
already
pregnant.
you don't
You don't have.
wait. So the same women who are saying if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we're gonna practice abstinence and not have sex with men. Is that not control? Is abstinence not
So
control?
this argument that you are making is really inherently misogynistic because
Okay,
now
there we
you
go.
are deeming
You
that
always
women.
every time I say something that you
No, let me
cannot,
support my
that no
claim. Let me
every time
support my
I say
claim because
something
maybe you will
I
actually see that it is.
actually give anytime you cannot actually give a
I'll
rebuttal,
give you a
you
rebuttal.
you
It's a great rebuttal.
find somehow of actually what you're saying is this. Actually, what you're saying is this. No, you can't give me an actual rebuttal to that.
I will give you a rebuttal.
Okay, go ahead. So explain to me how sex is out of people's control.
I'm not saying that sex is out of people's control. I'm saying that pregnancy is because pregnancy is a biological processes.
And sex is not a
Just like
process.
when you eat food, you don't have control over your body digesting it. You don't have control over if you get food poisoning or
You
not.
have to eat.
For
You don't.
you to say, for you to say now that if you do not want to be pregnant, if you do not want to be a mother, therefore you should abstain from having sex, it is
Yeah,
just inherently
yeah.
misogynistic because you're telling women
Massage.
that if you don't want to
It
be a
takes massage.
parent, if you don't want to be pregnant, you should
If I don't want
lose
to, I'm gonna have
the
sex.
option. What?
It is. How's it misogynistic? Like you are
I'm
such
trying
a.
to explain it to you, but you're
You're
interrupting
saying
me.
like it's like how's it only affect the mother? What about the dad?
What about him?
So if I don't want to be a father, what am I supposed to do?
What? We're talking about abortion here.
You were saying no. We're talking about abstinence and you're not having sex here. Where you're saying that if it is misogynistic to say that a woman has to practice abstinence if she doesn't want to have a kid.
Correct. If she
So
be because
so
she
so
can't get an
so
abortion.
I don't become a father through the same action.
So when we look at so we you can agree even though you can't substantiate it that human life has more value than what you would consider animal life, correct?
Yes, yes. Animals are here for our purpose, for our consumption.
What separates us between from animals?
The fact of what we are, from beginning to end.
Okay. So when we when we look at sex,
Okay.
sex has three purposes. It has a biological purpose, it has a psychological purpose, and it has a social purpose. And for you to put the only value on it of the biological purpose, you are dehumanizing it.
But how does that's not dehumanizing it? I am saying that
It
you're
is dehumanizing it because that's why animals engage in intercourse is for procreation and biological purposes. They
you're
don't have
using
the same psychological and social
and
reasons that
how are
humans have sex.
animals an example whenever they are cannibals and they essay each other? They, I mean, you're using
I
animals.
just explained it to you because we have psychological reasons for having sex as well as social reasons. Humans are social creatures. And when
Okay.
you say remain abstinent because you don't want the biological processes of sex, you are dehumanizing it and taking away the social and psychological value that we, at what you agree, are a better species
Mm-hmm.
have when it comes to sex. The additional value.
So what about this? What about the psychological consequences?
What do you mean the psychological consequences?
So, well, the three that you just mentioned, they would all still then have consequences, and you go into that knowing so. So, do you can say you don't consent to getting close to somebody or any of the other consequences that those three can be defined by?
I don't understand your question.
It's not that hard. You just define
Literally, you just said words. Like, what are you asking?
the consequences of sex that you go into it, whether it's biological, whether it is for mention the three again. Go ahead and say the three that you just said.
Biological, psychological, and social.
Okay, so you can have psychological consequences, negative consequences, social negative consequences, and you can become pregnant biologically. But the act of sex is reproduction.
That is one purpose of it. I would argue it's actually not the main purpose because more people have sex for pleasure and emotional intimacy than they do for procreation.
I would actually argue that majority of people just kind of do it on the fly, and that's why society is the way it is because of your responsibility, for one.
That's
But
actually untrue because statistically, you are more likely to have an abortion in a long-term relationship
there we
because you
go.
are more likely to be having more sex.
There, you are using normality of society for your arguments.
No, I'm using statistics.
Yeah, the stats of what is normal right now. The stats of what, because using what society, using what human beings are doing
It's
today.
not what's normal, it's what's common.
So, I mean, would you use that argument back in the 1400s, 1300s, when women were normally getting essayed? Would you say, no, that's just stats? That's what happens.
What is your point with that?
That there through human
It
history
was your
has
argument
been,
that people are having sex more casually or more promiscuously, which is
yes,
what is leading, I assume, to more abortions.
no, to physical, to psychological, to emotional damage.
That's not necessarily true because everyone has different
All right. Here's the thing. This is getting really
everyone
old.
has different sexual identities.
Mm-hmm.
But do you give an exception for abortion in cases of sexual assault?
I do not believe in punishing the victim. No, I do not. Which the victim is the if there's anybody that is the most innocent, it is the child.
So then you are actually promoting rape culture.
No, that's not true. And I'll be honest,
It is true.
I am done
And you
with
should be
the
absolutely ashamed of yourself for promoting rape culture. Like, that is
sure
such an
thing.
unethical thing to do.
If you should be
You
ashamed of
are
yourself
promoting
for
violence and trauma.
but
No,
if I've seen the only trauma I have seen is from your generation with the standpoints that you guys have
I'm
with
older
your
than you, bro.
well that's actually kind of embarrassing on your end. So
I think
but
you're embarrassing here. Maybe you should open a book occasionally.
well, if anything, not
The
abiding by
more
society
you know.
abiding by society standards and not going along with worldviews is completely fine with me. Completely fine because it's
No,
actually
you're just not educated.
educated. Sure thing. Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, here in about 30 minutes when I have sex with my wife, I'm going to go into those knowing the consequences of those actions and enjoy myself, knowing what that action can lead to. While you promote a society that can go into that action and simply use murder and foster children
Again,
for your
it's
narrative.
not murder. No, I mean you're sitting here promoting rape culture, promoting
That's not
pregnancy coercion.
okay.
You can't
So,
substantiate your own claims.
you can sit
Like
there.
you haven't brought
You can sit there.
anything to the table. Like you've literally come to a battle of wits unarmed.
You are
And I
sitting
don't
here
even think you know.
ashamed. Like it doesn't matter who I talk to on the left. I'm either a white supremacist, a misogynist, or something along those
Well, you are
lines.
a misogynist.
While you were sitting here, promoting murder, you were saying
It's not murder.
I'm misogynist because, for one, I would probably die protecting a woman getting essayed if I was to see it happen. But I am
Oh, but
still
you make
somehow
her carry the pregnancy. You don't care about her trauma or the
okay.
violence that was exhibited toward her. Like,
But I do. But I
you
do
are
care about.
literally decentering the victim when
Okay.
you give them responsibilities that they did not ask for.
Okay. Well, I
And
have a.
decentering the victim is a form of victim blaming,
Well,
which
you
is the
tell that.
normalization of rape culture. Like, you
You,
should,
you
the fact that you won't even listen to that
okay. Well, you can sit down and
shows me
listen.
how little you care.
You can sit down and listen to my very close family member who is here from rape, whose life is here. That you want to tell him. You go ahead and you tell him that his life means less, and that the decisions
I'm
that his
not
mother.
telling him that. Now you're straw manning my statements.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. We can agree to end it here because I'm just done with your echo chamber bullshit because it is
You don't
clearly
even know what an echo chamber is.
it
There's
is
no one else in here to echo what I'm saying. Therefore, it can't be an echo chamber.
no you literally have repeated everything that I already knew that you would repeat.
An echo chamber is where you have multiple people echoing each other's sentiments. That is what an echo chamber is.
And
There's no one on here echoing
you're
my sentiments.
you are echo chambering the liberal standpoint of the same exact shit that everybody says over and over and over. Misogynist, white supremacist, all this bullshit. It's the
I
same
didn't call
shit.
you a white supremacist.
No, it goes along those lines,
I
which
didn't
I'm
call you that, though.
say you did. I'm saying is the echo chamber of what liberals continue to say over and over.
No, I mean, I think you're kind of like the quintessential conservative, uneducated,
And I think
misinformed.
and I think you are the typical liberal who uses justification and
I'm
terminology
not a
for.
liberal. I'm not a liberal. That's offensive.
Yeah. Well, sure. Okay. All right.
I
Well,
don't even think you know what that means. Like, if you're going to insult me, know the words.
yeah. I've thought
You brought
about
a pillow to a gunfight.
creating an account. Okay, there we go. I think I'm gonna create an account where I do the same exact thing that she did, to where you completely straw man. You have this echo chamber, and you just see how many people are gonna agree with you. It's crazy how much people can say the same things over and over and over, and people agree with it. And that's exactly what she's done on her end with her left leaning bullshit with her ideas. That I can draw the line on where I stand, and her entire stance is her entire point is value. Her entire thing was nothing but what she thought was somebody was valued more, at the production of life. But it is what it is. I'm getting off here. I'm gonna go participate in what we were talking about, but I got the responsibility of the consequences that may happen. So you guys go keep living, doing what y'all do.